Hey, and welcome to Unlearning Stress, the podcast where we break the rules and cycles that keep you overcommitted, overstretched, and just plain exhausted, and replace them with something better. No fluff, no guilt, just real talk, real solutions, and expert insights to help you shift the way you live. Whether you're here for the first time or you've been with me for a while, you're in the right place. I'm Michelle O'Neill, your resident emotional wellness coach, and I'm here to help you unlearn the patterns that are wearing you down so you can live with more ease, clarity, and control. Let's get to it. Hey, I want to say something, and I want to warn you ahead of time that it might just rattle you a bit. You see, the greatest threat in this AI-driven world isn't the technology itself. It's the emotional disconnection that we normalize while using it. Okay, just wait. Let me say it another way. We're not just automating tasks. What we're doing is slowly outsourcing our voice. And when you live in a world that celebrates speed, optimization, and just get it done, you don't even realize when you've stopped trusting your own inner clarity. So, no, it's not going to be a conversation here about how to write better prompts or which tool is trending this week. What this episode is about is your nervous system. It's about emotional bandwidth. And it's about why high capacity women like us are most at risk of slowly disconnecting from what makes us human while still looking productive on the outside. And well, today I want to slow this conversation down. I want to help you come back to yourself before you accidentally replace yourself, what we're all afraid of. So let's talk about the human edge in an AI world and what it really means to lead, decide, and live with discernment in the middle of all this noise. So, what's really happening when we interact with technology all day, especially AI, artificial intelligence? Now, most people assume that digital overload just makes you tired or scattered or brain fog, but neurologically, it goes deeper than that. Every time that you bounce between tabs, scroll endlessly, or rush from task to task without pause, you're training your brain to stay in a sympathetic dominant state. That's your fight or flight wiring. It's your survival mode. And for highly achieving women, especially those of us who spent years holding it all together, it can feel, well, normal. But it's not sustainable. And there's more. So get this. Constant digital stimulation actually reduces your interoception. That's your ability to tune into your internal signals like your body clues or your emotional truth and your boundaries, which are so important. So what's happening here? You stop hearing yourself clearly. You start second guessing what you feel in favor of what you can prove or optimize. And when we start leaning too hard on AI, not just for support, but for decisions, for direction, or even approval, it rewires how we process trust. You know, emotional outsourcing to data over time decreases both your prefrontal clarity and somatic trust. In simple terms, what I'm saying is the more we rely on algorithms, the less we rely on ourselves. And let me say this real quick so you don't think that this is some radical woman blowing smoke because she's afraid of AI. Look, I'm a techie girl myself, and I use AI a lot. And I watch the algorithms when it comes to my social media. But I want you to understand that this is not just theory that I'm sharing with you. Research shows that overexposure to tech, especially tools that automate nuance, can literally reduce the brain's capacity for context, empathy, and self-awareness. These are the cornerstones of emotional intelligence. So, no, it's not about fearing the tools. It's about understanding what they cost when we stop being present with ourselves. We're not just delegating tasks to AI, we're slowly outsourcing trust in our discernment, trust in our own body's wisdom, trust in what we know without data to back it up because we know. And that's where the danger lies, not in the tech, but in the disconnection. So, who does this hit hardest? If you're a high capacity woman, a leader, a visionary, a builder, you've always leaned on more than just data. You've led with intuition, with discernment, with emotional clarity that didn't always make sense on paper, but it has proved itself over and over again in real life. But lately, that that voice feels harder to hear, doesn't it? Not because you're less capable, but because the world has started rewarding something else. You know, speed, volume, optimization, perfection that runs on performance, not presence. And there's a cost. You start questioning what you used to trust. You override that gut for what's trending. You quiet your insight because you don't have proof, air quotation marks here, to back it up. And slowly your confidence doesn't erode. What it does is it gets repurposed into productivity. But here's what no one is saying out loud. Let me say, your nervous system doesn't run on updates. It runs on safety. And if you're constantly trying to keep up, level up, or catch up, your body never gets the signal that it's safe to just be. So instead of building capacity, you start building a machine around you. Instead of getting still, you just get strategic. Instead of listening inward, you start outsourcing clarity. So I want you to ask yourself gently, without judgment, here's what I want you to ask. Whew, am I using these tools to help me hear myself more clearly? Or to avoid slowing down enough to hear anything at all? Am I automating support or automating away my own voice? Because there is a difference between being efficient and being connected. And one of those will burn you out a lot faster than the other. Guess which one? So I'm going to shift gears now. And I want you to understand, as I said earlier, I am not, absolutely not anti-AI. I use it every day. You probably do too. And to be honest, I really appreciate what it can do. So I'm also clear on this. AI, it's a tool. It's not your compass. It can summarize. It can organize. It can automate tasks and clear mental clutter. But it cannot discern. It cannot prioritize. And it most definitely cannot lead. Girl, that's your job. That's your nervous system's job. That's your intuition's job. That's the part of you that AI was never, ever, ever designed to replace. So let me tell you how I use it. I've built up what I call my AI command center, a full team. It's where I park the things that would otherwise drain my energy or distract my focus. When I'm researching complex medical language for a family member, I use it. AI helps me to simplify that information. And when I'm prepping content ideas or organizing notes, it's a great jump start and gets me out of my head and into action. And most importantly, it helps me create that white space so that I can come back to center before I pour out again. But the line that I don't cross, I want you to hear this. AI doesn't tell me what matters. It doesn't decide what I teach. It doesn't choose what to say, when to rest, how to lead, because that doesn't come from any prompt that I know. It comes from discernment. It comes from listening. It comes from leading with intention, from knowing the difference between output and alignment. AI should never be your voice. It should be your assistant. And if you've been letting it carry more weight than that, look, I'm not here to judge. I'm here to invite you to take back your seat. Because the real power isn't in the tool, it's in the woman using the tool. And here's something simple, not easy, but it's simple. It's not a strategy, not a system, just a lens that I want you to look through the next time that you sit down to use AI. Or honestly, the next time you feel like you're slipping into autopilot. It's what I use when I feel myself starting to over rely, overproduce, or override my own voice. Remember? Pause, focus, flow. That's it. You pause and ask yourself, what's the real question I'm trying to answer? Not the surface one, not the loud one, but the one that matters. And you focus and you ask, am I using this tool to chase efficiency? Or am I looking for emotional clarity? Am I solving the right problem? Or am I just trying to feel productive again? Those are hard-hitting questions that I invite you to ask. And then flow. Ask yourself, how would I apply what I get, whether from AI, my own mind, or God? How will I apply that in a way that keeps me connected to who I am? Because listen, you don't need to be afraid of AI. You need to be responsible with your power. And that starts with trusting your own ability to think, to feel, to pause when everything around you says go, to discern what's real, what's just loud, to lead with intention, not speed, because your edge, your human edge, is not something that AI can replicate. And thank God for that. Listen, this simple process I just walked you through, that's the work. That right there. That's the practice. And you don't have to do it perfectly, just honestly. And listen, if you want to go a little deeper or want to learn more about this pause, focus, flow, Come join me at the workshop on April 17th, where I'll be teaching the workshop, Stress Isn't the Problem, it's the symptom. And it talks about how we can rewire this thing. I'd love to see you there. And I'll put the link in the show notes. So until next time, take care. Bye-bye. If this episode hits home, don't just push it aside. Lean into it. Subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And connect with me on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Substack, where we go even deeper. Links will be in the comments. And if you're ready to start unlearning the patterns that keep you stuck, keep listening, because real change happens one choice at a time. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.